Petra, I think we are ready to go.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar, Best Practices of European SMEs Exporting to China During and After COVID-19. This is a webinar organized by the EU SME Center, Laura Velasco, and my chamber, the Mechelen-Kempen Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Belgium. My name is Petra van Bouwelen. I'm responsible for international trade and supporting the companies in the region of Mechelen-Kempen, which is situated in the province of Antwerp. And I'm happy to host it together with Laura Velasco. Some practicals during the webinar will be taking 2 hours, so from 10 till 12. You can put your video on or off depending on the connection. So as long as the connection is good, then no worries to put on your video. The micro, please put yourself on mute unless you have a very urgent question to ask the speaker. And so you can also put your questions into the chat. Laura and I will moderate this chat function. And please do complete your name under the button participants so we know who's on board, your full name, and if you want also your company name, which is very practical for us. We have as a program intro, of course, by myself and Laura. Also, she will present the services of the EU SME Center. And then we have a first testimonial, which is a company, luxury consumer brand, which is already active in China since, since 1829. Then we have a second testimonial talking about their business in China. It's an Italian distributor of fashion brands with very good experience, international experience and experience with China. The third testimonial will be a data and service platform for food and beverages exporters and targeting the Chinese market as well. And then we have a short break of 10 minutes. We have a testimonial 4 at 11:10, which is an olive oil producer exporting to China since 2005. And at 11:25, we have our last testimonial, which is a Spanish machine manufacturer who adapted its business model during the COVID-19. So all very interesting best practices to learn from and to see how they transformed their business, how they adapted their way of doing business with China. And then in the end, we can have a short panel discussion and Q&A for all your questions. I leave the floor now to Laura Velasco, Project Officer of Euro Chambers, working for EU SME Center. She will present you the services of the EU SME Center. Laura, I will stop sharing my screen and you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Petra. I would like to thank again Boca Mechelen-Kempen for this wonderful cooperation opportunity. Also to the speakers for making themselves available to share their experience today, and to the audience as well for joining us in this wonderful conference. What is different today is that we don't have experts, China experts, telling you what you have to do when importing into China. We have real businessmen sharing their experience and telling you how they managed to navigate and be successful during these difficult times. But before I leave the floor to our experts or our businessmen, I would like to take a few seconds of your time to introduce the EU SME Center for those who haven't heard about us. I believe that most of you know about the EU SME Center, but please stay with me for those who don't know about us. So the EU SME Center is a public funded initiative that started in 2010. Petra, can you confirm that you can see the presentation?
Yes, we see the presentation.
Okay, perfect. Great. It was started in 2010 with the aim of supporting SMEs interested in entering the Chinese market. We provide a wide range of supporting services for those companies who would like to either export into China or would like to set up a legal entity there. We partner with different government offices, business support organizations, both in Europe and in China, in order to expand our services. We do have an office in Beijing, +1 in Brussels, where I'm based right now, thanks to Euro Chambres, one of the implementing partners. And also you can see here in the back, the other implementing partners of the EU SME Center. In terms of services, we offer four main blocks. The first one is the Knowledge Center. It's basically an online library. The second one is the Advice Center, and here we include two different services. The third one is the Training Center, and today is a good example of what we are doing in this block. And the fourth is the SME advocacy platform. The Knowledge Center, it's an online library where companies can find over 200 market reports, guidelines, and case studies on different China-related topics. Some of them are transversal. For example, reports on cross-border e-commerce, digital marketing, HR regulations, and some others are more specific and focused on particular sectors. For instance, green energy, the cosmetic sector, food and beverage, and so on. The second block I was mentioning is the Advice Center. And here we offer two services. The first one is the self-diagnosis tool. This is one of the newest services we are providing. It's an online quiz, or in fact, there are 5 quizzes that allows companies to gauge their level of readiness towards the market. So there are several questions that the users should be replying related to their market entry strategy and the status of the company towards the market. And the system at the end will tell you how far you are from ideal and how you can improve the knowledge and the preparation towards the market. Here we obviously give reference to our online library, to our FAQ section, and also we give reference to another sister project of the European Commission, that is the China IP SME Help Desk, that works or is focused on intellectual property protection. The second service within the Advice Center is the Ask the Expert. This is a complimentary and confidential consultation service available for European SMEs. Here, people can ask questions about business development, legal, corporate, and HR-related matters, and our experts will be replying to your question within 2 to 3 working days. The third block, as we mentioned, is the Training Center. Here we try to organize webinars and workshops of the interest of the European community. For this, we cooperate with our partners both in China and in Europe. Today we are working with Boca Mechelen Kempen, and we organize topics, or let's say that the topics are based on the requirements of our partners. And last but not least, we have the advocacy platform, and here we try to give voice to the concerns and the requests from European SMEs when it comes to market access in China. We have an interchamber SME working group where we try to keep everybody up to date with the market regulation. A little bit on the upcoming events. We have our flagship event happening next week, the 21st and 22nd of October. This event used to be offline, as Petra will know, here in Brussels, but due to the COVID and due to the fact that most of our experts are based in China, we decided to hold it online this year. So you all are one click away from this opportunity, where we are going to give a very broad overview of the situation of China nowadays and how we see things evolving in the coming future. We are going to be talking about the impact on mobility of the COVID, how companies are adjusting considering the current block. We are going to be talking about blockchain as well, digitalization, and the new consumer trends in China. You can find more information on our website as well. Before we start this webinar, and this is just the banner of our event, I would like to remind you, as Petra mentioned, that you can submit all your questions during the event. Do not worry, we are going to be coordinating with the speakers to give answer to them. Do not wait until the end. Ask your questions right away, and we will make sure that they are answered. The slides will be distributed at the end. Probably tomorrow when Zoom actually sending a follow-up email. And if you have any further questions to our speakers today or to ourselves, please do not hesitate to reach out to the email address that appears on the screen. And now, without further ado, I would like to leave the floor to Mike Hoffman and Martin Manson from Melchers and Triggers, who would like to share their experience and to let you know about their story and adventure in China. Mike, Martin, the floor is yours.
Right. Good morning, everyone. From my side. So, can you ever see the screen, Laura? Can you confirm?
Perfect, full screen.
Yeah, thanks, dear guests. So my name is Mike Hoffman, Managing Director from Melchers in China, Beijing. I'm very honored to be here today and give this short joint presentation together with our partner Triggers, where Martin Mason, Managing Director, also gave the honor to join us today.
Good morning.
So I will maybe say one word before I give the hand over to Martin for the introduction. As you might see, for introducing two companies we're presenting together because we partnered in the China market, and we're not a Chinese company, but we have partners, a German and a British company, together to launch the Triggers brand in the Chinese market. And as first word, maybe to the brand, to Martin, to Triggers, to say us a little bit about for your introduction about the history and heritage of the Triggers brand.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to be talking to you from Northampton, a town in the centre of England, known as the centre of luxury footwear manufacturing, and has a illustrious pedigree going back to the 16th century. Triggers as a business was established in 1829. We are certainly the oldest footwear manufacturer in the European area, if not the world. We manufacture 100% of everything in our factory. You can see behind me the factory. We're still in the same building, a very old building full of history and heritage. That heritage and the quality of what we make was recognized in 1989 when we were awarded a royal warrant by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. Our business is Goodyear welted footwear, which is where the sole is sort of stitched to the upper and easily repaired, very sustainable, a very traditional and very high-end shoe manufacturing process. And Northampton in England is the home to all of the top luxury footwear manufacturers in the world. And most of us have a truly international business. For Triggers, we export about 85% of everything we make. Our main markets are Japan, Europe, America, and obviously now with our partnership with Mike and the fantastic team at Melchers in China, we are looking to expand into the sort of China markets going forward. We have about between 90 and 100 employees at any one time. We have a limited capacity, i.e. we can only make about 800, 900 pairs of shoes and boots a week. It does obviously ensure that the quality is incredibly high, but it also means that we can target our sales and where we sell our products to. The two markets we have probably really good presence in at this point is Japan and Italy, both of which we've been servicing with the same partner for over 30 years. And although China partnership with Melchers was established last year, we've actually been selling through wholesale into customers in Hong Kong, China for the last sort of 11 or 12 years. But we felt with our local presence, we needed a company that could partner and help us establish ourselves within the, the incredibly large market in China. So that's Triggers. Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. So we are also honored to partner with Triggers as an illustrious old heritage brand in our company. We are all family owned. We have shared a lot of family values. We are the oldest German company still active in China, entered back in 1866 in the third generation of the Melchers family already, who still owns the company. We are a very diverse group from the north of Germany in Bremen, established 1806, and still as its family over the years developed from China used to be a sourcing market. Nowadays, sales in different industry with one particular sector is the retail space, where we partner with Triggers. We're coming back from the watch industry with 20, 30 years, working with a lot of companies from Switzerland, and also constantly expanding using our retail knowledge and expanding the scope. And then we got talking in the last year with Triggers, where we were now also a little bit happy to report to everyone. And overall, we're working roughly with 60 brands, but in the retail space, it's like always in the luxury segment and very dedicated with teams each area. For the people who don't know Triggers, we prepared 2 pictures of the classics, which still we sell in China, also are best-selling. So Martin, as I know, is saying they were made or still since the 1920s, so in Burton. So we're still selling them also same style still today in China.
Yeah, what's interesting with these, this is our best-selling shoe and boot. They're both made on last that were created and established in 1937. That was to celebrate the coronation of King George VI. And, you know, it's quite fascinating that even today, you know, sort of getting on to nearly 80 years later, they're still our best-selling items.
So maybe show before we partnered since the last year for the pandemic. I think Martin, you mentioned it already a little bit, but I think what's also in the pre-talks we had with the EU SME Center interesting to know if you could maybe say 1 or 2 words, what you were looking to change when you were deciding to go big in China, because you had some contacts in Hong Kong already, but we're looking to more participate in the market.
Yeah, we were selling directly to about 6 to 8 customers through a wholesale model in both Hong Kong and China. Those sales were made during international trade fairs, one in particular in Florence, in Italy, called Pitti Uomo, which is you know, truly an international fair and attracts people from, you know, the American markets and the key Asian markets. So we'd picked up about half a dozen customers, and we found that they were doing rather well with our product. But obviously the distance and the ability to replenish their shops, it took time. You know, there's a very long lead time on our products, and we weren't in the market and able to service them as we do with our customers in the UK, Europe, and in Japan, where we have an established partnership with a very big group who actually are able to service the market locally. So although we were direct selling to retail accounts and, as I say, doing rather well, you know, there was a lack of marketing and promotion within the market, other than our retailers sort of utilizing materials and images that we could provide. And of course, there was the complications of cross-border e-commerce. You know, we were selling to a handful of customers, but obviously in China, and in particular in China and Hong Kong, it wasn't a local business. It wasn't a company based in the region that was able to fulfill. So we were doing our best with, you know, quite restricted service strategy, and that really was part of our discussions and looking for a partner. And we spent a long time. You know, we had worked very closely with the China British Business Council, who are one of the founders of the SME group. And we'd been working with the Department of International Trade in both Shanghai and Beijing. We'd met a lot of different companies, but it took a while to find a business that we agreed was the right fit. And as Mike's quite correctly said, both of our companies are family owned and date back to the very early part of the 19th century. So there was a synergy there already, and the fact that Melchers as a group really did understand about luxury distribution in that area, and had been doing so for many years. So for us, it was about how do we take our existing business model of selling direct to individual customers usually through a trade fair, into something where the brand could then be promoted and have a proper strategy, a proper long-term plan in terms of establishing ourselves in an incredibly important market.
So, and I would add that, because we're saying here what happened before the pandemic, because we got to know each other because the pandemic, mostly digitally, actually. Martin never visited us in China. We did everything now, like today, with Zoom, to build the partnership and the trust which Martin mentioned. And that leads me to what we did since then, since we partnered up, a partnership in last summer, formally announced. Since then, we had prepared with our local team for the launch of the brand, and formally launched in December, January, once the product arrived, have the first retailers ready. And our company, Melchers, now is, like Martin said, responsible for catering and nurturing the brand and raising brand awareness in China mainland, serving the existing accounts and building up new point of sales network, where we have a dedicated team for the sales part, with supporting on our marketing, supply chain, as well as all the logistics matters, for instance. And I like to say it's a very harmonious partnership, as triggers is a lot of supporting us, and we'll come to that back in the last slide, where we say what needed to be the business. The brand is really committed and supporting us, and it's a win-win, and have regular strategic exchanges. Yeah. I'd like to mention what we did. We have milestones today. So like we mentioned, December 2020, I picked up 3 from different representation. The first thing is that we will launch in Beijing SKP, which the people who are familiar in the retail space in China may know is the biggest retail, or the biggest shopping mall in China. It's like Galeries Lafayette or the Harrods in these other cities, like in Paris or in London. The exposure where makes €1 billion a year turnover. So if you are being in there, it's only full of luxury brands, and a hard fight who gets this space in the shelf. So we're quite happy to achieve this with the SKP coming now soon this month. And just yesterday, actually, the middle picture, it's me on the right. We opened yesterday the first service center of triggers in China. So you might ask why we opened a service center when we're just getting started for repair. We believe to carry the message, which Martin said, all handmade craftsmanship, and triggers is a longevity product. If you take care of it, it lasts a lifetime, which in the UK, you guys repairing shoes 20, 30 years old, you still can wear them. This shows also which is fitting Chinese changing consumerism. And so we will use the service center also to tailor this message, to bring it to the market, repair the shoes, do customer events here, and show the commitment to the brand. So we are very happy that yesterday night, very great celebration with a lot of support also from the local DIT representatives. And third, but finally not least, of course, online presence. We have WeChat, we have website, we have digital. We're building up right now on the different Chinese social media apps of videos and so on, because everything's digital in China. So you have to think in omni-channel in order to tailor to the consumers or where they buy. And this is so 3 core we reached in the first 10 months. We're quite proud of these issues. Yeah, that brings me to we are asked to share a little bit of our best practice or recommend brands. So Martin and I saw a little bit about from both viewpoints, from us, from the market, but also from the brand side, from when entering the market. I think a lot of these points are fitting to many industries. Some are more specific to retail, obviously. But I would say, like I said before, what we experience when we work with brands is very important, that you have sufficient resources, commitment to the market, capital, and the more consumer facing is, digital has to be a part of your strategy, the Chinese consumers. And China is very fast changing, so you need to have a good partner on the ground, which I believe we are, of course, a little bit self-advertising. I believe Martin has said saying, you have to be people on the ground, especially now with COVID, 2 years already blocked the border, which we don't know when it will open. again. So you have to be here on the market to fast changes, which will be here to stay. That we're not going away. So I would not expect Chinese shoppers go, oh, when everything's back to normal. They have changed their shopping habits. Now brands have to be here in order to be recognized. Maybe Martin, you want to add some points from you as a branding side from outside the market, how you...
Yeah, yes, of course, Mike. I mean, as Mike rightly says, a lot of these sort of tips and ideas are fairly generic, but I think for us, being a business sort of, well, nearly 200 years old now, you know, we need to be able to explain who we are. You know, who are we? Who is Trickers? What do they do? You know, to be able to tell our story and explain our provenance and where we come from, but also more importantly, the fact that we're a handcrafted luxury brand. You know, these products are made in our factory in a very traditional way. And that high quality and the fact that, you know, sustainability is incredibly high on our agenda and always has been. You know, ultimately, leather is the biggest waste product of the food industry. And also all of the local components go into our footwear are made in Northamptonshire, you know, around the factory. And we employ local people. All of these are really, really important messages that when somebody buys something from, you know, Europe, in China, that they know where it's come from, that it actually has authenticity, and that really, and Mike was you know, it's been particularly brilliant in explaining that introducing a previously unknown brand like Trickers, where we're not a massive brand, we're not part of a big conglomerate or big group, we're a family-owned business, does take time, and there are steps you need to go through to ensure that, you know, our story is told. And, you know, once people find us and have a chance to learn about who we are, then we feel confident the product is strong enough and gives plenty of reason for a buying decision to be made by the consumer. But it's actually getting that message across, and that's where all of the social media that Melchers have provided with WeChat, etc., has been, you know, absolutely important. But we've also been supporting them by making some video that shows who we are, you know, a video of the brand, you know, so somebody can look at it and they can see where we're based, what the factory looks like, how we make things, and ultimately, you know, who we are. So I think my main tip for any company, or particularly an SME going into China, apart from finding, you know, a strong partner to work with, is use the communication tools that are available to explain who you are. Don't just assume everybody will know who you are. Just because everybody in England and Northamptonshire and places like Japan and Italy, where we've been for 30 or 40 years, they know who we are. But in China, we are very much unknown. So use social media and provide absolutely plenty of product information. You know, the Chinese consumer, from my understanding, is very hungry for knowledge. They're keen to learn where things are made, who makes them, and why they're special. So that would be what I would add to that, Mike.
Good. Thank you very much, Martin. And with that, thank you all for your attention, and we're very happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Laura, you will moderate.
Yes, thank you very much, Mike and Martin, for this presentation. It's indeed a great example of how two European players can join forces to be stronger in the market. It is wonderful to see how you can create synergies. One of the first questions I will have, if the audience allows me, is in terms of marketing strategy. Did you have to make big changes into Trickers' marketing strategy to adapt to the, let's say, the taste of the consumers that you wanted to target in China?
No, not in terms of who we are and what the brand is and what we stand for. That shouldn't change. How we communicate that in China does need local knowledge. I mean, we don't have, you know, the the extent of the social media channels, the importance of those channels within China, in Europe. Yes, we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got Twitter, but those are quite different to WeChat, which sort of is more of a, does a lot more. So the core marketing message, no. Who we are, no. We're very clear on the brand, and everyone who's worked with us knows who we are. So it's just getting those messages across. But the messaging is no different, but the way of communicating it within the China market will be very specific to what works within China.
Yeah, I would agree on that. So we kept, like Martin said, the message itself same, to craftsmanship, the sustainability.
Yes.
Which is also fitting the Chinese consumer trend and what's here. It's a little bit not only a local European issue, so it's quite fitting nicely. We just have different channels. How we present it, where we present is a little bit different. So that we have also some trials and error at the beginning, of course, for something. So like Martin said, you have to find the right KOL, key opinion leaders in the social media, who's the best channel. But overall, we still strongly presenting the longevity, the craftsmanship, sustainability, and everything's handmade, which is very high of value of these products, what we have. Yeah.
Exactly. There is another question regarding the partnership itself. You mentioned that you had regular meetings to discuss, obviously, the strategy. Once the door opens between China and Europe, would you rather keep this strategy, or will you, let's say, opt for something more physical? For instance, Martin visiting more regularly China, if this allows.
For sure. It's been quite strange. I've been working in luxury brands for many decades now, too many than I can remember. But yeah, it's the first time I've been involved in setting up a significant distribution deal purely through Zoom or Teams or something. Normally you would visit the market, your partner would visit. Mike and the team at Melchers haven't actually been to our factory. They rely on images like behind me of what the factory looks like, and of course the videos. And of course, I want to come back to China and visit the team, go to SKP, go to the service center, do press, PR in the market. There's a lot of things we haven't been able to do, but and this is a big but, there have been a lot of things we have been able to do, and the pandemic has caused all companies, all brands to look at how they operate differently, and it's like there was no choice. You have Zoom, you have Teams, you have phone, this was it wasn't difficult, actually. We had a lot of calls over quite a period of time, but every call was the exchange of more information, both on the market in China from Mike and the team at Melchers' perspective, but also Melchers had a hunger for information about our business. They want to know as much as they possibly can. And obviously we have to provide a picture of the factory without actually having been visiting here. But as soon as we're able to, we will be on a plane to China, and I'm sure Mike and the team from Melchers will be on a plane to Europe. But hopefully that's not too far away now.
Yeah, I can fully agree on that. Even you're building up everything, it can never fully replace the personal connection. That had, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic also forced you to go more digital as much as you can. So some processes may be even better now than before, or some information faster to be exchanged. But at the end, it's some knowledge you can learn, but you have to see, you have to smell the factory, you have to walk on time, see these processes. It's good you understand everything, but it's different to having one time being there. And the same, obviously, it's a different if Martin or the colleagues sit down with a Chinese customer who want to know information about the shoes. It's different. You cannot transport that feeling.
We try and replicate that through video as much as we can. And on our website and on the China website, there is a brand video on who Trickers is. And it starts off with an outside view of the factory and goes inside. But it does not in any way give you the smell and the feeling of walking around somewhere that's been manufacturing products like we do for so many years. You can get a feel for it, but you can't you know, the real essence of it, you need to visit for sure.
Indeed. Thank you very much. I take that Teams was the tool used during these changes. Yeah, it has been quite often and quite common. Well, thank you very much, Mike and Martin. If anybody has any other question, please submit it through the chat function or the Q&A button. And in the meantime, if you agree, we are going to pass to the next speaker today, who is Stefano Simonini, and he's representing Sari Spazio. I'm going to share the presentation for Stefano. Bear with me a second. And Stefano, please confirm that you can see it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very
Good morning,
much.
everybody from Milan. I am Stefano Simonini, the Business Development Manager of Sari Spazio. Sari Spazio is a multi-brand fashion showroom on the market from 1988, owned by Giulio Di Sabato, that unfortunately cannot be here with us this morning, that used to be also for many years the president of Assomoda, that is the Italian Association of agents and distributors of fashion, and now from the last 2 months, the president of Best Showroom, that is a kind of club of the best Italian showrooms, mostly working on the international distribution market. As I was saying, we are on the market from the last 30 and more years, specialized. We are one of the few showrooms specialized in international distribution, mostly in Middle and Far East from 1988, and recently from Russia and all these European countries, and of course, China. In this moment, China is one of the best markets for fashion, as we heard recently, even from the first intervention. And of course, is a fantastic market, but is also mostly for small and medium companies, a different markets, because until now, are the big brands that are easily selling in China. We use in the last year to travel very often to visit the country, participating to Beijing and Shanghai fashion shows, trying to close a business, because our business is to find clients, retailers, is to offer them medium and small brands made in Italy that are, the most part of the time, made with the top artisanal quality of our country, and to try to build more and more business that can grant a visibility to our brands. We did a very good collaboration with Greenland Group, that is one of the most important retail estate holding. And in those days, they are opening. Unfortunately, we cannot be there due to the impossibility to travel. This mall at the Bund that is called Ciao, with the project that we took care, Casa Italia, that represent, of course, a part of some Italian fashion brands. Before COVID, traveling there very often, we had the possibility to meet a group of important companies to deal with for the opening of corner stores, shopping shops, and even the possibility to open flagship stores once a brand is well stabilized on the country. But COVID, of course, was a stop on our activity, because we have to deal with a B2B platform online that is not an easy way to work for distributors, because as we know, it's very easy to deal with B2C for fashion, but for B2B people who were not used to working this way, it was not very easy, because particularly for small brands, the clients they need to see the collection, to touch the collection, to feel it, and working on a B2B marketplace is not always easy, even if we did our best to propose the product in the most interesting way. So what we did during the pandemic, it was, of course, with team meetings, spending a lot of time on the computer to try to anyway promote the brands. We have also to consider that during the pandemic, being everybody at home, fashion, particularly for some categories, I think about evening dresses, that is a fantastic market for Middle East, or formal male dresses all over the world. It was a kind of categories that paid a big price, because staying at home, nobody was interested to dress up. And so to keep the business between China, we built a kind of exchange, working on lessons that explain the Italian production chain, and to deal with young Chinese entrepreneurs, to propose them our brands in the best way, and giving them all the information to make the brands work through the country. We have closed even recently with the Haining Leather Town a contract that will see the promotion of Italian brand in this region of China, but also the possibility that is more and more interesting to import and distribute in Italy and in the rest of the world the young Chinese designer, because we have to consider that is also, by this point of view, is a very interesting and growing up market. Something that we really found interesting is the possibility that now is no longer possible to travel very often to the country, because meeting people from the fashion world is the possibility to open doors that when you don't travel is almost impossible to open. We have now a good relation with the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week in Beijing, that for the future, as soon as it will be possible to reopen the countries, it will be the possibility to be there on the country, bringing Italian designers and promoting them through fashion shows, to meeting with the retailer, to meeting with the key partners that are opening all the possibility for fashion to travel in China and all around the world. By our experience, we believe that to work in China, it means to be there very often and to deal with local agents and distributors. The best way is to have an Italian person that is living and working there, that can speak Chinese, and so can be the key to better enter the market, to work with important PR agency. And in Italy, we have few of them that have also an agency in China, so they deal for many years with both markets. To work with bloggers, influencers, and to celebrities to build the visibility of the brands, and to be patient, because from our experience, that are almost 8-9 years that we are dealing with China, is that to work with China, it needs really time. But once you are there, once you have built the right connections, it's an easy country where to work, and it's a country of very big satisfaction, and for sure is the country of the future. Thank you. I think I have said the most important keys for fashion and for a multi-brand distribution chain.
Thank you very much, Stefano, for the presentation. I have a question for you, actually. You mentioned how important is to have people on the grounds in China that speak Chinese. Can you share a little bit of information on how this was done by Sari Spazio, how you managed to find the right people to help you in China?
But it was easy when we were traveling. Consider that until 2019, we were going at least twice a year to China, mostly for Beijing and Shanghai fashion shows. So once you are there, it's really easy to be approached very often by Italian people working in the fashion world that are based in China. So through this, we get very easy contact with people that are there. So then you do different meetings and you finalize where are the people that are interesting for your own business. And that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. And the other question is related to the celebrities. I assume that this means KOLs, key opinion leaders. Can you share also a little bit of information on this? Because we know that this is a very trendy trend or approach in China that is not, it's common in Europe, but in a different way.
Yes, as I was saying before, we collaborate with a very big Italian PR company that has 2 offices, one in Shanghai and one in Beijing, managed by Italian and Chinese people. So all the work is made by them. Okay. And even collaborating here in Milan with the Italian Chamber of Fashion, you get in contact many times with the Chinese Chamber of Fashion from Beijing or from Shanghai. So it's very easy to get contact with the celebrities and opinion leaders that are very important on the Chinese market.
Indeed, indeed. That's why I was asking. I guess the key learning here is that you really need to get allies in the right sectors, and in this case, outsource and rely on experts for the marketing and campaign.
That's the way, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Well, thank you very much, Stefano, for this presentation. Stay with us until the end in case we have any other participant or question. And now I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I realize this is me. And I'm going to leave the floor to Sebastian Warhol. He is the product director of Monkey Markets. And I already have a question for you, but I will leave it to the end. Please, Sebastian, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank the SME Center, Laura and Petra, for the opportunity of sharing our story and our experience in the Chinese market. So I'm going to share my screen now, and you'll be able to listen and hopefully learn a bit about what we've been through. Okay, so my name is Sebastian Warnham. I am the product director and co-founder of Monkey Markets. We are a food tech startup from Spain that through a platform helps food and beverage exporters sell their products to the Chinese market. The platform integrates and digitalizes all the data and services necessary to accelerate and improve decision-making throughout the whole export process to China. Our experience began in 2016, and we targeted this market as it is the largest food and beverage market in the world. Food and beverage exporters, and especially SMEs, are having difficulties or are unable to sell their products to a market that is demanding them due to limitations and major obstacles in the export process. These problems being the high costs in time and money involved, the opacity and complexity of the Chinese market, the lack of knowledge about the market, and the high dependency on physical presence throughout many of the processes. Our solution is a platform that integrates all the services and data within the export process to China and transforms them into intuitive steps in an automated way. 95% of the platform use is free, and it allows the exporters to analyze the market with just a few clicks, establish a strategy per province, target 15,500 food and beverage importers, including their purchase and contact details, view product requests by the actual importers, all the documentation and procedures in an online format, and understanding the Chinese market through short informative pills in a video format. The founding team's journey, Iago San Martin and I, began in 2016 when we assisted food and beverage producers to sell their products to the Chinese market. As at that time, we were rather young, so we decided to use data and facts to justify the product, the brand, and the producer that we were introducing to the Chinese buyer. Let the facts talk, not our opinion. In 2018, Chinese importers asked us to help them to select and identify products, brands, and producers within the EU with our database methodology. At the end of that year, learning the difficulties in both the importer and the exporter purchase-sell process, we decided to transform this methodology into a platform. Since then, we've developed a prototype, an MVP, received 2 investments, and launched our platform in Spain in late May this year. A couple of weeks ago, we were selected for the good use and innovation of trade data by the United Nations. The United Nations acts as the unifying organization in trade data in the world. This list includes 21 companies and institutions such as the IMF, World Bank, Harvard University, or the UK Trade Agency. So we are very excited and proud of this achievement. Monkey Markets is supported and invested by the Galicia regional government through its different administrations. My objective here today is to explain the logic and the analysis we followed in order to create a disruptive and added value service. Before COVID hit us all, the standard export structure relied on the following elements throughout the process: market studies as a way to be informed and find out about the market, trade fairs and events as the main source to reach and interact with potential buyers and obtain sales, business trips as a chance to visualize and analyze our product in retail stores and learn how it's being sold to end consumers, the importer or distributor as the unique source of information about our product's situation and position in the market, and service providers with little supervision due to the lack of knowledge about processes and procedures by the exporter. The result of this way of working in the case of Spain is that although 80% of Spanish food and beverage producers have exported, only 7% have exported to the Chinese market. And this is due to the high costs in time and money involved, as 90% of Spanish food and beverage producers are SMEs. What happens next? COVID starts. And what's the result of a work structure so dependent on physical presence? incapacity to sell, incapacity to interact with the market, to acquire or receive information about what's happening in the Chinese market, and incapacity or great difficulty to apply solutions. This new paradigm reinforces our vision of democratizing the export to China, meaning that any producer, regardless of the size, can export to the largest market in the world. To do so, we analyzed the food and beverage export process, service by service, step by step, and begun to integrate and propose digital solutions, from logistics to market analysis to sales to legal, with the peculiarity that we are talking about the Chinese market that has its own digital landscape. No Google, no YouTube, no Facebook. We dived in and begun to get things going. I've just realized I'm going to have to reshare so you can see the sound. There you go. Perfect. And now we're going to see this result in action. Okay, we thought, how can we reduce costs and time through a unifying platform for any type of producer to use that covers the needs in an automated way? How do we solve the complexity and opacity? By creating a structured and organized process divided into steps. How do we solve the lack of knowledge, integrating all the data and knowledge from experts in each of the services involved? And finally, how do we solve the high dependency on physical presence? By giving more weight to online. And this is the end result. So what do we bring to the table? A platform that integrates 80% of the export manager's tasks in a digitalized format, meaning exporters focus on decision-making rather than searching for sources and information. 90% free use platform, and reduces time and cost until sale in 90%. Monkey Markets operates in a freemium model where paid licenses include access to direct company contact details and information. The platform is a born global product. We are currently focusing on the Spanish market, but it can scale in two ways. Exporters from more countries selling to China and replicating the China model in new markets. In 2022, we will begin our internationalization and launch our platform in other European countries. It would be a pleasure to do so with the implementing partners of the EU SME Center. Our methodology focused on updating the current export processes into a digital format. And I would like to now explain how COVID did not create, but only reinforced and accelerated where we are heading to the digital era. The first industrial revolution provided humanity with mechanization. The second began the mass production era. The third introduced computing and automation into our processes. And we are now in the early stages of the fourth revolution. That integrates and connects all the processes within a company, allowing to collect real-time information across the entire supply chain, from suppliers to users, and analyze and use this data to improve all processes through instant feedback. We in Monkey Markets work on the sales and export part of this integration. Now, what has been reinforced during and post-COVID in China? Domestic market as the new economic strategy to reduce reliance on import and export, digitalization of the country, in food and beverage, the new retail concept, which we will explain shortly, and finally, the importance of agile supply chains. In terms of consumers, they are more health and fitness orientated, shift to online or digital formats, informed and data-orientated purchase decisions, and delivery agility as a key aspect. I will now show you a video of Alibaba's Hema supermarket in 2018. This is part of the new retail concept that converges digital and offline experiences. Please bear in mind the four concepts: health, digital, data, and agile delivery.
Alibaba has effectively digitized the entire grocery shopping experience and delivered it right to my mobile phone. Now I can get what I want, anytime, delivered anywhere I want it, with just a few taps of the thumb. One of great features inside the store too, like the emphasis on fresh foods. One of the reasons people like to go to Hema instead of ordering online is to choose their own fresh food. If I have any questions at all about a product, I just scan and see the full ingredient list, or I can see where it came from. And with its sophisticated fulfillment system, Hema delivers in as fast as 30 minutes within a 3-kilometer radius, both groceries and cooked food.
With this said, as a conclusion, we have experienced firsthand the beginning of the digital era through the pandemic. Let's work on transforming all the experience and knowledge we have gathered throughout our lifetime into a digital format. Our vision is to allow food and beverage exporters to sell to China regardless of their size. By unifying the whole export ecosystem, meaning all the data and services that are part of this process to be integrated into one platform. And finally, just like EU SME Center does, facilitate access to knowledge by giving a space for professionals to share their thoughts in. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sebastian, for this presentation. I would say also advanced presentation with videos included, just to prove where the digitalization is leading us to. I've been wanting to ask you this question since the beginning when we started talking about this webinar, and I'm sure that some of the participants in this session are wondering the same question. So why Monkey Markets? Where is the name coming from?
Well, the name comes, we see it's monkey, the key to your market, Monkey Markets, or your key market. Yeah, we also wanted to play with the animal factor, so it's more identifiable.
Sounds actually smart, but I didn't think about it, so it's good to actually explain that.
If you look at the tail of the monkey in our logo, you'll see it has a little key.
Ah, okay.
I guess we have to make that more obvious.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. So I will say that one of the key points, let's say, of your presentation or what you are here representing is how actually a crisis can bring opportunities in certain fields of activity in certain sectors, and of course in your case it was just the push to really bring the activity that you were performing before into the digital format, I will say, and in my opinion this is here to stay. So it's a wonderful prove that when you take opportunities and you really take advantage of a situation, you can really get far. My next question is, because I saw in the presentation some institutional logos. I'm also from Spain, so perhaps not everybody recognize them. So can you, because you're considered a startup, so can you explain a little bit which kind of institutional help you received in order to well, get where you are right now?
So firstly, basically Monkey Markets takes place, as you saw in our timeline, thanks to an accelerator program that was established by La Xunta de Galicia, which is the regional government of Galicia, a region located in the northwest of Spain. And after that, we also encountering great facility by institutions and food and beverage associations that are helping us deliver the message to all these food and beverage exporters. We currently are talking that we have 100 food and beverage producers that are using our platform, and we intend to do and follow the same model when we target the European markets.
And well, when that will be?
That will be next year. As I mentioned before, we launched our platform in the end of May this year. So we're gathering all the necessary metrics and data in order to have a replicable model. And we're looking forward to also assisting food and beverage exporters from other locations.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Sebas, again for this, and also stay with us until the end in case other question arises. As Petra mentioned before, we have a small coffee break. We said it was going to be 10 minutes. Perhaps if everybody agrees, we are going to make it only 5, not to be too late for the next 2 presentations. I take it now it's 11:08, so we can resume at 11:13. Everybody can stretch their legs, get some coffee or refill the coffee cup, and see you in 5. So now it's the turn of Fernando Herrero. He's actually the CEO of Boax Maquinaria Asia, a Spanish manufacturing company operating in Spain and in other countries, as Fernando will explain. Fernando, thank you very much for being here today, and the floor is yours.
You're welcome, Laura. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Well, I want to introduce our company, Boax Maquinaria Spain, SL. We are a box folding machines manufacturer. The country of origin is Spain. Our activity is manufacturing tray folding machines, especially for the open top, where we are world leader in manufacturing in this kind of machine for open top trays, mainly used for the fruit industry, as we will see later. The turnover is 30 million euros. We have around 300 employees worldwide, distributed in headquarters in Spain, plus 6 subsidiary companies in the US, Mexico, Chile, Netherlands, China, and India. Why we chose the Chinese market? The Chinese market is a very interesting market for us as the biggest cardboard producer and consumer worldwide. With a 26% of the cardboard produced in the world is produced in China and consumed in China. So as our machines are working with cardboard, we consider this market a key market for our development. Since when? Our company has been developing activity in China since 1997, where they sold the first machine, in this case for another industry, for the shoes industry. And later, after many different activities, working with different agents and companies and partners, we decided to establish a company in 2013, a representation office in Shanghai. And then in 2014, we give the step to establish a manufacturing company in Suzhou that later has been moved to Jiaxing during the last year. Well, as I mentioned before, Voice Maquinaria is the first producer worldwide of box forming machines for open-top boxes. Okay, the open-top box is a kind of box that is usually or mainly used for the fruit industry, fruit and vegetable industry, because it's a box that is open in the top, as the own name indicates, and is has very good properties for keeping the product fresh during the transportation mainly. Okay, also it's stackable, also reduce the consume of materials, so has many advantages. Voice Maquinaria, we are active in 84 countries all around the world, where we provide sales and after-sales services. Okay, we have 6 subsidiary companies, as I mentioned before, and more than 10,000 installations all around the world. We only produce with the best quality components and spare parts. This is the key of our success, and our machines are very long-lasting machines. Actually, the family is very proud that the first machine produced by the company more than 45 years ago is still running. Is in the museum of the city where we are based in Spain, near Elche. Our unique production point in Spain comes with 20,000 square meters, with the highest technology for production of the 100% of all the manufacturing components of our machines. So we are flexible to produce all the manufacturing components taking part in our machines. Okay, and all the processes and products are designed in-house. Okay, with our research and development plus production and engineering departments. Well, the introduction to our machines basically is very simple. We use a blank of paper or blank of cardboard, and with a series of mechanical movements, tires, and hot melt system. The hot melt system is this melt system here that is a hot glue that is applied in the box, and we produce the final product that is the box. Okay, so basically what our machine does is generate cardboard boxes at high speed until a maximum of 2,400 boxes per hour. Our business model in China, as I mentioned before, we decided to establish the company in China in 2013 after working with many different agents and partners in China. But Chinese market is a market that is very difficult. The customers always want the machines or the product very quickly. Okay, so they cannot wait, but they are usually taking the decision in the last moment. Okay, so we consider necessary, the company considered necessary to establish a small office for doing sales and after sales services in China, and also for geographic location, taking care of the sales and after sales in all the other countries in Asia, like Japan, South Korea, and all the Asian countries. Okay, the main activity in the China subsidiary before the pandemic was importing machines from Spain, having here store the basic machine, and doing some small manufacturing processes to adapt these machines to the needs of the customer. So in the end, we deliver a turnkey project with the final product requested by the customer. Okay, so basically this is what we were doing: importing machines, doing small changes or small modifications in the machine, and delivering to the customers in China. Plus, of course, developing the market, doing all the marketing services in China, and developing the local market and the local and for all the international, for the countries mentioned above. this is a small range of our products with the machine Q1530, which is able to produce 1,800 trays per hour of open top boxes, FP42M that produce a little bit faster, and other different kind of boxes, more developed. EF1000 that is able to produce the American box. That is the typical box that we see more often in the market, with the 4 sides and lids on top. And then the MCT1, which is able to produce until 7,000 punnets per hour. The punnets, we call these little trays that are usually for a small amount of fruit, 1 or 2 pieces, and is delivered in this way for the supermarkets. How Voice Maquinaria business was transformed in China due to the pandemic. The business in China, we are finding that just importing machines and selling machines or distributing European products in China, where the quality is the main point of our product, is difficult. It's something that is very difficult. So we are finding that the Chinese market, in one side, is not ready to accept this kind of product yet, for different reasons. First is the price of the manpower, or the different kind of market for this field in particular. And in the end, the pandemic gave us the idea of developing the market in different directions. Okay, the business of Voix is initially not one of the main affected business by this kind of pandemic or the crisis in general, because it's a packaging related to the food industry, which is a first necessity good. So the impact of the crisis is not so big. But it's also true that during the pandemic, many projects were cancelled or delayed, and also the Chinese customers, they don't appreciate the quality of the European products so much. They usually consider local options that are cheaper and that maybe are not so sustainable or so sturdy along the years, but are cheaper options. So usually the Chinese companies consider this as the price as one of the most important factors to take the decision before buying some machinery. So inside the Voice Group, we decided to analyze the impact of this situation in our business and adapting fast to this market, utilizing the resources of our subsidiary in China for new purposes, like expanding our business in China to provide global services like intra-group provider, or increasing our manufacturing activities for local markets. Okay, so reducing cost and increasing the efficiency to better adapt to this fast changing market as is the Chinese market. So in this way, from Voice Yassin, analyzing the opportunities offered by the Chinese market, we decided to expand our business and open new business lines as a manufacturer of different products for the local market, export products to Spain as an intra-group manufacturer and global purchaser, and being able to reduce cost for the whole group and increasing the viability of the company in China. Recommendations, the pitfalls, the do's and don'ts about the Chinese market. Chinese market is a fast changing market. So if you want to be successful in China, you should never stop analyzing the changes and taking advantage of the new opportunities. make sure that you are flexible to adapt to all the changes brought by the market. Okay, Chinese market is probably the most competitive market worldwide. Chinese local companies develop super fast and efficiently. We used to say that China copy a lot, but they copy with quality. They don't copy in any way. As this is the idea that we have about the Chinese products. In China, you can find any kind of products for any kind of quality, and everything very, very competitive in price. So it's necessary always to offer the best quality products and best quality services at the lowest prices. And you need to be prepared for that to be successful in China. If not, is impossible. Chinese market is huge, so there is a space for all kind of products. Make sure you find the right channels to promote your product and to find not only your potential customers, but also your affiliates and cooperators. The relationship in China is one of the most important things. I think all around the world, relationships are very important, but especially in China. And there is a space for all kinds of products in China. So finding the right affiliates, cooperators, and potential customers, you are able to get your piece of the cake. In China, relationships, as I mentioned before, are the most important. Make sure you get surrounded by the right connections, work hard and be patient. Results will come. As the Chinese proverb says, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And well, that's it.
Thank you very much, Fernando, for this presentation. I will keep that, let's say that the learning from this speech is that during the COVID, you were able to understand that perhaps the business model was not the best before. And by shifting from importing finished goods to China to let's say buying and sourcing to Spain could be a little bit more interesting and could maximize the efficiency and the profit of the company, right?
Yes, exactly. During the pandemic, we realized that, well, this is a fact, no? That is the custom duty taxes. So this is a load that the Chinese government put to all the imported goods, and this is a handicap, of course, for the products imported by Europe. That, of course, we are going to be more expensive in the manufacturing in Europe, and also if you have to add this additional tax, this leaves you very out of the market. So, as I said before, there is a piece of the cake for every product, but it's also true that most of the Chinese companies, and of course the Chinese market is very interested because of the volume. But if you only focus in the few little companies that they want European quality, then it's very difficult to fight for your part of the cake. So this is one of the first things that we started to realize during the pandemic, that we need to reduce cost. So start to manufacture our own products in China is a very important point, and also manufacturing things in China to export to Spain in order to reduce cost, because many things we can produce in China cheaper than they produce in Europe.
Indeed. And I would say that also the business model you have, I understand that, for instance, you are the manager or the general manager of the company in Asia, representing and overseeing all the activities. You are not Chinese, but you have very long experience in the market. And I think this helps understand how important it is to have somebody who understands about the Chinese culture and how to do business in the country, right?
Yeah, it is very important to understand how the the business in China is working, it's necessary to be in China to understand what the Chinese market is, because Chinese market is very, very particular. It's super different than any other markets. So you need to be in China. And as you said, I'm not Chinese, but I have been already for many years in China. So I know more or less how the Chinese market is moving, what they are looking for, and what are the keys for the success in China.
I think this is extremely important indeed. I think Petra has a question. I will just mute myself and leave the floor to her.
Okay.
Thank you, Fernando. Very interesting presentation. And also the previous one. You said you were expanding your business in China to provide global services. Do you mean that you was also operating from China to the rest of the world? And do you trade also via free trade zones?
Providing global services, as I mentioned before, we have a unique production point that is based in Spain. So what we are doing in China basically is we are analyzing the purchasing opportunities. So we are manufacturing and purchasing products in China that are cheaper to sell to Spain. So this is our contribution to our global services all around the world.
Do you consider not only Spain, but also the other countries?
The products that we are manufacturing here in China right now, this year we opened a new business line that is manufacturing one kind of machine that is already obsolete in Spain. They don't produce this type of machine anymore, and we are producing this machine in China, and we are producing this machine for all around the world.
Okay, all right. And also, because we were talking about the taxes, what about the free trade zones? Do you make use of them?
No, we were studying this option, but it's not interesting for us. For the volume we have and for the location of the free trading zones, it was not interesting for us.
Okay. Another question. I did a virtual trade mission to Hainan in March because they're building there the largest free trade port. And it's also very known for its consumer goods. Do you also, did you already explore Hainan a little bit?
To be honest, no, we didn't explore this. No.
Maybe it's something to look at in the future. I don't know, because there is also the Hainan Expo, which is quite a large expo, and since they're also building there the largest free trade port of China, maybe it can be interesting for you in the future. I don't know. I'm just suggesting you that.
Okay, that's a good point that we will consider for the future.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Petra.
Thank you very much, Fernando. And please stay with us on mute until the end in case there's somebody else has any question. And now I would like to leave the floor to our last speaker, who is Emmanuel from Terra Creta. I'm not sure if Emmanuel is at the moment with us because he was at the airport passing customs, so we were talking each other and just making sure that he was here on the right time. In the meantime, I think he is. Emmanuel is area export manager at Terra Creta, but he's also an olive oil sommelier. He's product innovation manager and vice president of the Cretan Exporter Association. And he's with us today in order to introduce us what Terra Creta has been doing in China before the COVID and during the COVID. I'm gonna share the screen for him for obvious reasons. Please let me know when you see the presentation.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Presentation is okay. Good day to everyone. I'm sorry for the noise around. I am at the airport of Düsseldorf. As Laura said, my name is Emmanuel Karpadakis, and I'm working in an olive oil company based in Crete, in Greece. Page, please. And ni hao is the first thing we learn when you go to China. Chinese market for us was one of the first market we start exporting. Of course, the pandemic changed a lot in the way we do business in China. The next page, please. A couple of things about my company. We're producing and exporting extra virgin olive oil, Greek table olives, and balsamics. And I could say that the most successful product at the moment is extra virgin olive oil. Our turnover is 18 million euros. We have 48 employees, as you can see. And why China? Actually, Chinese came to us in 2005 because the company was already only 4 years old at that time. And we had a request from a big Chinese distributor for authentic products. So from that time, we start discussions. Our partner came to Greece. We exchanged a lot of visits, and the product was on the shelf in 2006. Yes, of course, through distributors, as I said before. And we have another cooperation under private label products. As I mentioned, we produce superior quality extra virgin, which is produced under sustainable and environmentally friendly methods. We cooperate with a lot of teams of farmers, and we can guarantee the quality profile that the market demands in the quantity that is needed. This is very important in the olive oil sector, since not olive oil are the same. So there are different quality criteria that we have to follow. And regarding Chinese market, the legislation for olive oil have changed lately into a more strict, let's say, criteria. So olive oil batches that are suitable for other markets, they cannot go to China. As a company, we export 97% of our production. Because why? Because exporting olive oil from Greece is easier than supplying Greek market, because most of the consumers are producing their own olive oil. And you cannot grow a lot. Of course, we have presence in the market, but in a very low level. So our key pillars is quality, stability in quality. We have an online traceability system that gives to our partners the correct image for the product itself. Imagine that for Chinese consumers, olive oil is not a traditional product, it's not a traditional ingredient in their diet. So the more you educate them, the more the more information you give them, you build a higher trust level. We do a lot of things on innovation in terms of packaging, innovation in terms of targeted products according to the consumer preferences. I said we have a stable sustainability practices from the field to the final bottle. And actually this year we're going to publish our first sustainability report, where we analyze all the environmental impact of each single product we produce. We did that because when you analyze a sector, then you are able to improve the figures. And today we can say that we have reduced 30% the use of water and inputs in the soil and environment in the last 2 years. And the last thing, but really important for us, is that most of our products have been awarded in international competitions with the highest prize, the one that you can see, which is a Mario Solinas Award. Mario Solinas is a competition organized by International Olive Council and is considered the most strict competition in the world. So being awarded in the first position of Mario Solinas is really a high justification of the work we do and what the consumer is expecting to taste. Next page, please. So our main product, as I said, is extra virgin olive oil of different profiles. One of them is PDO Colimvari of certified origin, single variety. And of course, we have also simple extra virgin non-PDO certified. But we have seen that Chinese have high preferences in certified products because this gives more trust for the product and for the brand. And that was a key point when we start our cooperation there. We are selling offline in supermarkets and department stores, and online, of course, through different channels, always by cooperating with our partner who is who has the Chinese mentality, and he knows very good how to do business in Chinese market. I have to say here that China is a country, but has a lot of different levels of market. So from east to west and from south to north, we see huge differences in terms of consumer mentality, gastronomic preferences, of course, and product acceptance. And that is important to be in our knowledge. So with our partners to try to cover different demands. Page, please. So before pandemic, we had a lot of business trips to China. Our Chinese partners came to Greece. We did a lot of official events also in both Greece and China. We had even signed a contract in the office of our Minister of Foreign Affairs. And that was really important for them in the first steps because I said before, building trust was very, 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 very important at that time, and still is, of course. I had to say that Chinese market is not easy. Communication has a lot of particularities, and develop a marketing strategy with our Chinese partner initially it was not easy at all. But at the end, you know, with a lot of passion, with a lot of room to our partner to understand the product, to realize why our product has has a lot to give to his work, of course, but also to his customer. We managed to be in a good level within the market and to develop also a second cooperation under private label. A problem that we have faced initially and we had to solve later is the trademark registration. That is the first step that every company has to do before even start discussion with a Chinese company. It's really crucial. Page, please. Some pictures from events we have done in China through Oil China Fair. We have participated a couple of times, events with the Chinese ambassador, gastronomic events actually in Greece, our participation in Olive Oil Forum in Shanghai 2 years ago, and other events within China and our partners' place. Page, please. So in conclusion, before pandemic, we have said about stabilizing the cooperation through visits, increasing the level of trust, trying to understand the needs of the market and how they work, organizing training sessions. That was really important, and we continue to do that even now. And gastronomic events. For olive oil, there is the Oil China, which is a big fair for China, and participation there gave a big boost to our presence. Page, please. So pandemic, of course, have changed the rules of the game. So we did a lot of B2B events with our partners. We have participated in many B2B events with the customers of our partners, so to be able to transmit the correct message. The online sales were developed, of course, as everywhere in the world. And we have done digital fairs with our partners, trying to promote more the product. And of course, since we didn't have to travel, we had more time to analyze better the market and go deeper into different channels, sales channels, which is using the extra virgin olive oil not only for food in gastronomy, but also as ingredient in different sectors. Page, please. So what was the good thing with pandemic is that we had a faster, of course, and cheaper way to develop our business. We had a very high flexibility and zero wasting time, naturally. The negative effect is that as Chinese wants to see you, wants to have a direct communication with you in person, this creates some question marks for them. Sometimes it's more difficult for them to understand new products and to adapt them in their portfolio. And of course, we don't have the real feeling of the market. We didn't have, at least, because we believe that in the next period, we'll go back to normal again. Page, please. So some useful tricks is that registration of trademarks and domains has to be done before even the first conduct in the market. A good market research, depending on the product and the price level that we are targeting, is crucial. Slight adjustment of the product is necessary. Of course, labels has to be done in Chinese, not 100%, but even a small part of it. Exchanging visits when possible, it's good. Have a drink with Chinese partners is always a positive thing. Very good check of possible new interests, new contacts you have, because we may receive messages that are not that credible. And communication of our USPs in a way that they understand is also important. If we want to expand our business, if we want to be actually inside the Chinese market. Okay. The big numbers trap has to do with the messages we receive sometimes that when the 1,000 tons and etc., which of course are fraud messages. Page, please. That was more or less what we have done until now with Chinese market. I have to say that I have a lot of faith on further development of the market, because the consumers' preference have changed with pandemic, and more sustainable, more healthy products are in a higher priority at the moment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Great product. Love the olive oil.
Good.
Great case as well. Thank you. I have one question. Did you explore a shop on WeChat? Because did Did you explore a shop on WeChat?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you well.
You don't hear me?
You-
Did you explore a shop, a retail shop on WeChat?
WeChat. No, we use WeChat, of course, for our communication, but no, we didn't. I know that my partners are doing things with WeChat, but not me directly.
Any reason for that?
We are not in that level yet. Actually, we try to give the correct information to our partner, and he developed the market. So I don't want to interfere in their activity. So WeChat channel sales is something that they work on that.
Okay, understandable. Thank you. Laura.
I also have a question. It is really interesting what you said, Emmanuel, that the pandemic has changed the rules of the game. I think there is no better way to say this, to state this, but it is true that Terra Creta was very lucky because at the beginning, it was the Chinese distributor looking for you. This is something that normally doesn't happen. We don't want to let the audience think that it's that easy. This is, they are very lucky, or of course, they have a very good product that, well, the Chinese market wanted. But I also find very important what you said about the importance on educating the Chinese consumer, because it is true that olive oil is not a product that it will be used by Chinese consumers at home when cooking local food, and as such there should be a learning process on how to use that olive oil to really increase the usage by consumer. And I think this is something that you did great. But a lot of companies should take a note of it, because sometimes we take for granted how to use the cutlery, how to use the olive oil, and it's not the same in countries that are far away. You mentioned something about how China it's actually not only a market, it has multiple markets, and you mentioned that you learned along the way which areas or which parts were more demanding of your products. I will say, or my guess will be, first and second tier cities, because of the way the population is educated, but I would like you to correct me or to let me know which markets within the Chinese huge market were the ones that were more interested in Terra Creta's olive oil.
First of all, I want to add in the first approach issue that a lot of times timing is crucial for starting cooperation. So at that time, when a company was looking for a good quality product, we had a very good online presence and a very good contacts throughout the authorities. We had a very good communication with them, and that's why, of course, they have contacted many companies, but we were able to cover all their questions and to build this trust that I was telling before in very high level from the day one. So regarding the difference in the market, of course, eastern and south of China has the highest potential for our product, of course, due to the economical level of the average consumer.
Thank you very much for that. And one last comment before perhaps Petra closes this session. The importance of registering your trademark. I would like to remind everybody that there is another European funded project called the China IP SME Help Desk that can help you do that. And as Emmanuel said, please register your trademark before starting talking to any potential partner in China or anywhere else. It's just to make sure that your trademark and your rights are fully protected.
If I may, one more thing.
Please.
I have participated in the past in EU gateway missions to Southeast Asia. At that time, China was not included in the target countries, so it would be a very good thing from the European Union side to include China in such missions that are really effective in promoting quality European products.
Noted. Thank you very much for that. I would say that actually we ran out of time. Unfortunately, in any case, for the participants, if they have any remaining question, the slides are going to be circulated and you will have our contact details. So please reach out to us. And I let Petra close the session today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. We will also share the recording of this session. First of all, if I don't see any questions in the chat anymore, so I believe that we were all very clear and the cases were very elaborate. So I really want to thank Stefano, Sebastian, Mike, Martin, Fernando, and Emmanuel. Great cases. Keep on doing good business in China and make use of the great support of the EU SME Center and all their providers. And I would like to also ask the audience to fill in the survey so we know what can be done better or which suggestions you have for the future. And last but not least, I would like to thank Laura very much for all the help, and she did a great job making this webinar come true. So thanks to her, big thanks to her. And we hope to see you in the future again for other events. I'm sure we will be co-organizing some other events in the future, Lara. So thanks everyone and have a nice day.